Hi, thank you for joining us on U Inc. My name is Rhea Greif, and I'm here with you today, as I am every week, to help build the most important brand in your life, which is you. Our guest today has exercised rights in many different arenas. Whitney Smith is a pro in using her rights to fight the injustices brought about by some parts of the status quo and advocates and supports those along this same journey, both in business, politics, and personal lives. In an article in 2016 from the Columbus Dispatch, when you were running as a Republican candidate for the Franklin County Commissioner, there was a quote by John O'Grady's campaign manager, Jamie Staley, that you, and I quote, he said, will do anything for a headline in response to you filing an election complaint against Republican candidate Donald J. Trump the day before elections, to which your campaign manager, German Trejo, responded in a quote that everyone in government should be transparent. Where did you see this as a way to exercise your right as a citizen? This is a multiple question. And what can citizens do in situations where there might be backlash to fortify themselves, to fight for their rights, and to fix the wrongs in the world other than Facebook rants, heated discussions at family gatherings, or complaining to coworkers about today's headlines?
This is such a great question, and back in 2016 I got asked this a lot. So how I ran my campaign and how I run my company is to be the change that you want to see in the world. And that involves stepping up and speaking up when you see something that is wrong, whether that is in your party at the time or not in your party. And I would say back then, what I would say is that I'm, someone that believes in transparency, is anti-corruption, is a woman, is a lot of things before I am a political party. And I believe in transparency and accountability way before I believe in a party ID, which the last time I ran for office, I ran as an independent.
Right, that's my next question.
See where that got me.
Right.
But I, as someone that's worked in politics for years, I've worked on over 300 campaigns across the United States, and I've worked with both Republicans and Democrats and independents, and I've seen that your internal integrity and your internal morality has to rise above a political ID. And I think right now in this country we see a lot of very good people putting I would say their morality and values aside just to follow a party ID.
Yeah.
And those are people that I don't believe should be in office because I think they're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And when I ran in 2016 for county commissioner in Franklin County, I was asked to run by a Republican, Ron O'Brien, and by our Democratic sheriff, Zach Scott at the time, because I've always been very bipartisan, and I was working on issues of corruption in the city of Columbus, kind of speaking up on, and they'd both asked me to run. So I was running a campaign based on that, so I didn't really think I could justifiably turn a blind eye when I was in a position, even that small as a candidate, to see something wrong and not say something.
Nice. And as you mentioned, after all this, you ran as a nonpartisan candidate for representative on the Columbus City Council in Ohio in 2017. And here is a quote by you on your campaign website: Whitney is fighting the culture of corruption in Columbus. Whitney is self-made and understands the importance of hard work and honesty. She will combat career politicians and special interests control and bring back integrity and transparency to Columbus City Council. Do you think that in order to be truly free to be representative of your constituents, you have to be nonpartisan? Do you think that that's the only way?
I think in an ideal world, which doesn't exist,
Sure.
that would be great. I think what now we're seeing is a need and a demand for a third party. So there are a lot of people like myself that, and a lot of millennials especially, that feel I don't really fit in either of these parties. And I'm looking for a place. And I would love to see, and I would love to work on some more independent candidate races, because what we see at every level of government is the entrenched establishment candidates that even if they begin as a good person, which I think almost everyone does, once they get tied into that system, then they're held accountable to these bigger entities that have their own agendas, their own donors. So I think what the political landscape right now is desperate and really hungry for are independent candidates, would be a third party, and people that don't have those ties. But that really does loop us back to campaign finance reform. It's a very, very complicated issue, but I think a third party or independent type candidates are exactly what we need right now.
In the future, though, I think that people like you who stand up for rights and like really have strong convictions and are not afraid to share them and take those risks. I think the future is brighter when I'm thinking about you being there somewhere standing up for those rights. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on to You Inc.
Thank you for having me.